All right. I call the meeting of the Rutland Regional Planning Commission Executive Finance Committee to order today, September 8th at 5:32 p.m. And we have a quorum. Everybody's here, right? No,
Yeah,
Erica isn't.
Erica's not here. Yeah.
That's something I don't have is who are we?
Yeah. We're this.
Introductions?
Yeah. Just need to grab a
Um,
pen. I'm sorry.
Andrea, do you know everybody? Do you want to
Yeah.
do introductions?
No, I mean, I know who
Want me
everybody
to?
is.
Okay, good. Everyone here I know knows each other, so we're good. All right. First item is approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda or any changes?
I'll make a
No
motion
changes.
to approve it.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Bob. All in favor to approve the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, that sounds good. Approval of the July 7th minutes. Anybody need to see the minutes presented, or I will entertain a motion to approve the July 7th minutes?
Make a motion to approve the July 7th, 2025 minutes as presented.
Thank you, Larry. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Bob. All in favor to approve the July 7th minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Sounds good.
Great.
All right, open to the public when we have no public. So next is the June and July financial report. I'm looking to you, Devin.
Yes, I have it. And
Alright.
let me go through the written report and then I'll share up on my screen. It was just done today, so we didn't send it out. Because obviously right now we're about to switch gears, prepare for audit, because the audit has to happen early this year. So in terms of the June 2025 financials, the June P&L reflects a net income of roughly 64,000, but the year will not end as high. Based on historical numbers, we project about 15 to 25,000 added to the fund balance following those non-cash journal entries like Beamers. But remember, those calculations for Beamers are done by the auditor and sent to us, so we don't know what the cash value of that journal entry is. That being said, we had not planned to end the year with any sort of surplus, and we had planned, remember, to spend the 18,000 of the fund balance on the office. We didn't have to spend the 18,000 from the fund balance. We were able to cover it with our grant funds, so we didn't rob the fund balance, and we could be adding another 25,000. So it flipped negative 18 to positive potentially 40 to 50,000, which is great, especially looking at the uncertainty moving ahead. And we were falling behind on our fund balance policy of having a certain percentage of our total budget. So our total budget kept growing and our fund balance wasn't growing. So to me, this is positive news. I don't want to always have a surplus by any means, but we should be ticking up that fund balance with our budget for that rainy day fund. And the way the uncertainty is right now, that rainy day fund could prove valuable. So we're still in the process of closing out FY25 for the audit, but obviously the year will end in the black. So there are a few more additional revenue and expense transactions, and then the larger journal entries will include the following. So the big one is Beamers. This is that retirement journal entry. The expense has ranged as high as 45,000 in FY24 and as low as 4,600 in FY22. So we cannot possibly plan for this. So knowing the surplus we have, we should be okay. Depreciation, the auditor completes this every year. The expense has been around $5,000, but that should go up because of the leasehold improvements with the office this past year. That'll get depreciated as well. Does not, just like the Beamers journal entry, the depreciation doesn't impact the net income, so it's a non-cash item. And then the policy on the fund balance, sorry, is not a percentage, it's the 6 months worth of operating expenses is what we're trying to hold. So currently our fund balance is 462,270.40 with 47 cents. That'll change depending on this income. 6 months of salaries, FICA, and benefits are all alone, not including any of the direct expenses like rent and everything else, is higher than our current fund balance. So getting that back up to the level of the 6 months will be helpful with some of this reserve fund. On the revenue side, so looking at the P&L, line 403.5, it's ended low, but project costs have increased quite a bit. MK told me today that the QUISP invoice for the last quarter was 120,000. So, you know, in the past we were seeing like 30,000 or 20,000. So we're finally seeing the increase in spending with the clean water service provider. That being said, Barbara told me today that the QUISP is just not working the way the state thought it was supposed to. Shocker, not. So they're actually considering reducing our phosphorus reduction total, which is our target for how we spend our money. It's we spend X dollars per kilogram of phosphorus reduced in the lake. That's how the formula works. They're talking about reducing the formula. That means our funding would get reduced commensurate with the formula, because it's like between $8,000 and $10,000 per kilo is how they sort of like formulate the funding. We have not had any official report on this, but we do expect that funding to go down.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
It might not be pertinent to this particular, but it's associated. So you're talking about the phosphorus going into the lake.
Yes.
Are they looking at that holistically or just with this QUISP program?
In terms of that P value,
Yeah.
just within the QUISP, because like holistically, you're right. I'm like,
Well,
how
yeah,
can
I
we
was-
possibly reduce our kilo when the TMDL is fixed, right? Like the amount we're shooting for reducing the lake
Yeah,
is a fixed number. So if we're reducing our target, we gotta make up for that somewhere.
so it could be a net
Yeah,
negative.
it could be a net
Or-
negative. And not only that, but like, to be honest, I don't think there is a really good sense whatsoever as to like how well this is achieving the TMDL.
Yeah.
And that's the problem.
Okay.
Because they're not considering legacy phosphorus at all. It's only new phosphorus. So
Okay, yeah.
the whole thing, I don't love it. I
Yeah.
don't love it. You know, we're happy to do the work and have this in our portfolio, but
Well, there's just so many negative consequences for communities.
Oh my God, big
and
time.
for businesses, they
Yep.
gotta address.
yeah,
you
because
know,
part of this is, you know,
the 3 acre rule.
and MS4.
And MS4.
Yeah, which we're partnering with you guys on.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah, it's
Okay,
not addressing the problem the way they thought it would.
okay, thank you.
For line 404, Department of Public Safety, it's largely low due to that scoping study for Mount Tabor. But being roughly 20,000 less than budgeted, but it's all contractual. It's a pass through. So it's not any revenue that we're seeing. Department of Energy, again, that's low because the EECBG got canceled. EPA is low because our brownfields consultant expenses are lower than expected. But we did hold a brownfields committee meeting and we're trying to achieve the 75% spend down by this fall so we can apply for additional funds from the EPA. We're spending a lot. It's our brownfields program is really churning right now, which is great. And then the fund balance reserve has no activity because we did not need it for those VAPTA expenses in the office improvement. On the expense side, salary ended high largely due to the how it was budgeted, the line. For example, health incentives are included in the fringe benefit calculation, but the actual expense is reflected in the salary line. So it's just how it's coded. It's not over budget. Health incentives did total roughly 31,000 in FY25. So that's where sort of that differentiation comes from. Fringe is low and will offset that salary line. And then 537, that town and organizational support is low, or is high, sorry, but that's because of those credit card points we keep putting on. For July 2025, new fiscal year, P and L reflects income of roughly 123,500. And that's high due to that first quarter invoice for our ACCD state funds, always comes in an early slug. Revenue, state income is high because that first quarter. Line 550, office and rent is high because we have 2 months of rent have already been captured. And then as accounts payable, as of 7/31, accounts receivable total is 701,000. As of 9/8, accounts receivable totaled 360,000. And then miscellaneous sort of comment to add is, are all of you three gonna be in person next week at the board meeting?
I plan on it.
Okay, great. She's planning to bring the signature card, so we can just do it all then for the
Oh,
bank
okay.
signatures, if that works for everybody.
Another one?
I think another one, yes, because it does say Larry needs to sign it too. So it could be a different bank.
Yeah, could be different.
Yeah. And I will just pop up the financials in case there are any questions and we just want to take a quick peek at them. You know, once we're through audit, we'll get in the rhythm of supplying these ahead of time. But it's just kind of crazy right now.
You think we just did an audit?
Huh?
It seems like
Oh,
we
yeah,
just finished an audit, got a
seriously.
report, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we
But
approved it in
did, was-
December,
It was a
and
long time ago,
here
yeah.
it's September. Yeah, it's
So
not that far.
Fast.
Yeah, and this one, the turnaround is tight this year. So here's the budget. We're at 91% on the year as of this June through. Everything is pretty close. I mentioned those lines that were high or low. Any questions or thoughts on this stuff?
Did the new lease with the laptops cause any kind of a spike, or that's just?
No, we had
Kind of
budgeted the
budgeted,
same. Yeah, so that's been kind of a nightmare so far, but just getting them set up and mirrored correctly, we had a bunch of issues. Everyone now, the entire staff has brand new computers and we're all under the new lease program. I'm using one right now. So I'm hopeful now that we're through the sort of like early jitters that not only will we have more reliable machines, but we'll see our silhouette go way down, because we were spending a lot per month on silhouettes for our computer systems. So so far so good once they were activated. And I think budget wise, we may go over a little bit on the equipment line because we didn't sort of think about like, oh, we need extra chargers for when we're at the office or laptop cases, those things. But the actual equipment themselves were about the same as what we budgeted, which is great. So. I don't need to see that AR or the aging report,
No.
okay? So that is for informational purposes only. Finances are good, ending in the black, preparing for audit.
Good.
What do we have
Good.
next, Chair?
Executive Director's Report.
Oh, that's me.
Surprise you're on. top.
Easy, wow. I feel like I'm featured a lot in this agenda.
Yeah.
Okay, let me share again. So you'll see a lot of this in our newsletter that's going out tomorrow. We had a bit of a summer break because I prepare the newsletter. So while I was on paternity, it was not getting done. But some good stuff. So first is the UVM's VERDA, Vermont Evaluation of Rural Technical Assistance. We held 2 August focus groups. Laura, you were there for
Yep.
one of them. How did you feel like that went overall?
That was great. That was
Awesome.
really valuable. Yeah,
Good.
a lot of people with really good input.
Awesome. That's really what I was hoping for. And thank you for participating. Basically, ACCD and UVM came up with this BERTA project to really try to create recommendations for how to better address the capacity issues with rural technical assistance. So they asked each RPC to not host, but really just help organize by handpicking individuals from around the region, from rural areas,
Mhm.
to sit on 2 different panels. So we had, I think, about 16 over the 2 days, maybe a little bit more, participate, and they were really happy with the outcome. So I'm glad you felt the same way. That regional project priority list for Cedar is coming around again, so I just wanted to highlight for towns. The solicitation went out in October last year. We'll include it in our newsletter again this year. It's the top 10 economic development community and economic development projects for the region. Cedar has been collecting this list for years, and a few years ago, Lyle incorporated the RPC in helping score the list and prepare the list. So we've added a lot more municipal projects now that RPC is involved. So I'm hopeful that we can get more on here again. And really what it means is you can get priority funding for some of those like Northern Borders grants and stuff like that. So that's exciting. Our workforce program, the Pathways to Careers through the Workforce Opportunities for Rural Communities, the first cohort just completed, which is awesome. It was small, it was less than 10 people, but we needed to test out how this was going to work. Our second cohort, which is doing heat pump and weatherization training with Vermont Adult Learning at the Mint, starts next month. So for the next 2 years, we're going to have just constant cohorts going through this workforce development program, and we're solely focused on trades jobs for housing, weatherization, CDL drivers, stuff like that, and it's going really well. On top of this, the WIB has been around for a while, the Workforce Investment Board, and we brought it on in-house when it sort of stumbled a few years ago. And I have not liked how it's stuck it between like legacy phase and modern phase, and that old WIB model and mentality still is sort of holding it back from like modernizing. So we had a meeting with Melissa from Stafford Technical, Lyle and Karima and myself, and we're like, okay, how do we blow this up? Because the biggest thing we're noticing right now is there's a lot of workforce development programming happening in the region, and it's completely uncoordinated. Everyone's stepping over everybody and doesn't know what's going on, and it feels like we're really inefficient that way. So we want to create a central coordinating body that will bring in all the schools, all the employers, and sort of just like, okay, who's doing what? How do we coordinate and do this better? So it's a long-term process, but I'm feeling confident that we're going to really see like a much more like strategic approach to the WIB
Good.
and workforce.
Good, it's
We do. We really need a bad, especially if we're going to build any housing in this region. Little update, road erosion inventories. This is the year where we're getting back in the swing. We've done 5. We have 8 more planned before the snow flies. And we have our new planner, Sean Beatty, is going to be the new MRGP lead. So we're getting him onboarded. But just, you'll probably see, we're going to have 5 different staff members working on it throughout the region this fall. So you'll probably see a lot of those yellow vests out there. Municipal planning grants are open due November 3rd. It's short turnaround this year because they just had one in the spring. So we're just asking if you're interested, let us know. We'll help you apply. We're doing a big complete streets training in West Rutland in October. We're partnered with Vermont Local Roads on that one. So Ethan is helping us get that coordinated. Our VAPTA retreat is this week, like I said. As chair, I had to organize it, and I'll be leading the retreat, so I'm excited about that. Maggie's Regional Disaster Cooperative, which is this new sort of like cooperative approach to long-term resiliency and recovery. She's been creating these regional sub-regions to try to get towns together and talking about, okay, if we did this regional disaster cooperative, how would it look? How could we share resources? How could we share staffing? So she did the first one in June, and the second one, which is Benson, Caston, Fairhaven, Hubbardton, Sudbury, and West Haven, will be next month. So hopefully Hubbardton, you guys will be there. Hopefully. And then lastly, there's this exciting new opportunity. It came out today. It's the second phase of the Homes for All initiative, with which Rutland City was one of the communities in the first phase, where they created a toolkit, and Rutland was one of the case studies. They're asking for 3 towns to serve as pilots for the next phase. So I already sent it to Mike and Ed, because I think Rutland City would be a good one. Sent it to Fairhaven. We're gonna send it to Brandon. I feel like a lot of our mid-sized towns would be great opportunities for
Right.
the state on this one. So more to come there.
Okay.
What's the roads, what's that, the street, what was the name of that?
Complete streets
Complete
training.
Streets.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
What
complete
is that?
streets is a state law that dictates basically you have to plan streets for all user types.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right.
And it has to be context sensitive. So like
Yeah.
Shrewsbury, they're not expecting
That's right,
sidewalks,
yeah.
but
Rutland
Sidewalks,
City,
City,
yeah.
absolutely.
Anytime we
Yeah.
redo a street,
you gotta do
we're
those
doing by
sidewalks.
complete
Yeah.
streets.
And it's beyond that, right? It's like
Yeah.
transit stops and all the
Yeah,
rest,
right,
so.
right.
Honestly, the laws existed since 2011, and still to this day, most towns don't really know how to submit the forms or do the project, so
Mm.
we're trying to like, hey, this is how it could be done with Vermont, local roads. So that's a report, pretty high level, not a lot of new stuff over the winter, or the summer, sorry.
Yep.
On this one?
Yes, yeah, seriously.
Thank you. Okay, regional plan update.
All right, so,
Devin.
yeah,
Ears are getting tired.
yes, this is, all right, so it's big time, right? Everything's
boy.
been leading up until now, so we've completed the final draft, and it is now posted on our website.
There you go.
So
Oh,
it will be next week at our board meeting, we're gonna be asking the board to authorize us to send it to the Land Use Review Board.
Yeah.
We are the first regional planning commission in the state of Vermont to submit our plan. So we are the guinea pigs. I can tell you, so that's 60-day review by the LRB. They're statutorily required to complete the work within 60 days. Feel bad for them. It's gonna be a lot of reading. In addition to that, there's 5 agencies: natural resources, farms and markets, transportation, public service, and emergency management, that all get copies and comment on our plan as well. Luckily, the LRB has to sift through those comments and decide which ones are applicable or not. We do not. So we will get back something from the LRB that says, here's where your plan is good or bad. Here are the comments from your agencies. Here's what you may or may not need to fix. That includes our regional future land use map. And from everything we're hearing and seeing, we think the comments and the feedback's largely gonna be on the map. The plan itself probably will have some comments, but the focus right now is on this new future land use map, and rightfully so, right? Changing the whole scheme around this.
Right.
That being said, as the guinea pigs, whoa, we got a lot to do before next Thursday. There's 7 pre-application elements. So we have to do an application form. We have to submit our draft regional plan. We have to do this review checklist that basically, we have to take our plan and say exactly in what pages we address every single statutory requirement. So it's basically rewriting the plan. We did not expect to need to do that to that degree, so Stephanie and staff are doing this now. We also have to submit an application form, the plan, this checklist, the draft map, municipal confirmations. We have to develop a tier 1B map and all our tier 1B memorandums. So it's not just here's the plan, see you later. It's a lot of work preparing for this. That being said, in addition to all this work that we have to do, the LRB is holding an in-person public hearing in the region that submits their plan for every plan. So we don't know the date yet at which they're gonna hold our hearing, but it will be at our office, and it will be a public hearing of the Land Use Review Board. So I'll let you guys know, and I'll let the board know in case anyone wants to come. We will certainly be here to answer questions for the LRB and anyone, but it's also a chance for the public to potentially come and offer either support or not support for this plan, which I don't foresee happening, but there's always that possibility. So tonight I want to show you guys the plan. Ideally, I think if you're willing, I would love for the committee tonight to recommend to the full board that authorization to submit, because that's been our process all along, is like, okay, the plan's done. We're gonna make the recommendation as the executive finance / regional plan committee. And then we'll send it to the full board to make that authorization. But I'm hoping at this point, everything is just housekeeping. It's like, it's automatic. We've prepped the board enough for them to know this is coming. So where's the plan? So if you go on our regional plan website, which of course is, I always just want to show this link for people who forget. You can't miss it when you jump on our website. The link is right there. So the draft is here. So we wanted to make it a little bit easier for folks.
Right.
The plan is 450 pages. So we didn't want to just give you the whole plan. So we broke it down. You can either do the full plan or each chapter. The engagement report alone is not included in the plan. That's an additional 200 pages. So the whole plan, soup to nuts, is 650 pages long. There's an equity analysis and then the links to our future land use map. But I do just want to show you guys the graphic designer, Liz, Tom Sudin, amazing job. Although it's 450 pages, there's a lot of white space and not a lot of words. The layout is beautiful. She did such a good job. Here's the cover photo. We'll get through these are all the chapter summaries. But I want to show you. So I went around, we bought a drone and we did drone photography as the cover for every single chapter. So this is a river in Danby, actually, along Route 7.
Needs straightening out.
Yeah, exactly. So every chapter follows the same sequence of an overhead drone shot, this sort of chapter introduction, and then it gets into the actual plan itself. What I gotta say, the graphic work here, so like housing, you probably recognize that, Hickory Place in Rock City. Housing, some of the graphics she was able to produce, there's not much writing on these pages. Really beautiful designs that we try to do less writing, more graphics to convey the point.
Right.
I'm really happy with the outcome. I think it looks good, has a really visually appealing, has a lot of information. So yeah, it's big, but I think it's accessible overall. So definitely take a look. We have basically for you guys between now and mid-November, before the 60-day LURB submission is up, to do our own reviews as well of this final plan. Obviously, the staff and everybody have already reviewed this edition, but it doesn't hurt to go through the full thing in layout, seeing it with all the graphs and everything. Because we not only have graphs, we've got references, we have lists of figures, we have a glossary, also a very robust implementation matrix, which I want to just show here. So every chapter's goals, policies, and then actions with timeline, effort, and cost is in this spreadsheet, which is really nice. So it's honestly, for the last 2.5 years, getting to this point seemed like a pipe dream. It just seemed insurmountable. And to have the plan done in this format, it feels amazing. And it's not me, it's you guys, it's the staff that got this done. So, and in terms of the rest of the report is the adoption schedule. So as a little reminder, we get the plan back in mid-November. We have from mid-November to mid-December to make any changes based on that LURB approval and review. We'll warn the first public hearing on December 19th, hold the first public hearing on January 20th. We're going to host 4 additional hearings throughout the region to try to spread it out and go where people are at in late January and early February. We'll revise the plan based on the feedback in those hearings. Probably very little, if at all, because we've already had so much engagement at this point. So we'll bring it back to you all in the board in February to say, okay, here's the final. And then we'll hold our second and final public hearing at our October board meeting and have the board meeting be the public hearing for the plan. So as of April 26, 2026,
Yeah.
we will adopt the plan. That is the goal. So a few more big hurdles to go through with the LURB, but that's the tentative schedule. If you're like, what was Devin saying about the calendar? If you go on the regional plan website, and you go down to next steps, we've got all this laid out, when those meetings are, when we'll approve the plan and everything else. So, when in doubt, just come to the regional plan website. Any questions?
Okay,
No question.
So during the review, LRP comes back and said something about this is weak. What if you disagree with that? Or do you have to actually do something to appease them or?
Yeah, so twofold, we can like appeal a comment from them. I have a feeling we won't need to.
Yeah.
Because, we did all of our planning, like statute forward. We started with the statute, then we filled it in. The gray area for me, Larry, is gonna be in the map. And we know for sure that they're gonna have an issue with some parts of our map, mainly Killington in that village center. We know for a fact that they're gonna reduce the size of the village center. We know it. That's okay. We want them to give us the definition to say, here's what's gonna meet the mark, because we didn't wanna go against the town or the resort. We're like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. So I don't foresee that happening with the plan itself. I do see it happening with the map, but I feel like we're expecting that feedback. If there was something egregious, I would bring it to the board and say, okay, this is what they're saying. We don't agree. And then we'll formulate a plan to sort of respond to the LRB. Everything I've learned so far about coordinating with the LRB chair and the other members, it feels like there's a level of deference that they're going to give to the regional planning commissions to say, hey, you did the engagement, you did the planning work. As long as you meet the statute, we'll let you have your day. The map is the key here, because that's where everyone's gonna weigh in, especially ACCD. That's where they're gonna pick it apart. So 2 weeks ago, VNRC is going around to every RPC and we're having like in-depth map meetings, and they were a big writer of this bill on the biodiversity protection side, right? So we sat down with them and we walked through our map in very fine detail, and their response was very affirming. Where we highlighted issues, they're like, yeah, we can see it. Rest of the region, they're like, looks really good. And since we stuck with the methodology so closely compared to most other RPCs, we have something to fall back on to say, like, we did it this way because that's the methodology we all agreed to, So long answer short, don't know how we would necessarily address something that we really wouldn't agree with, but there is a provision in the guidelines to sort of say we have a chance to sort of say, like, hey, we don't agree with this. But I would be really hesitant to pick a fight with the LRB early in the process and say, like, I don't think anything they're going to request is going to be unreasonable. You know what I mean? So, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Yeah, that's a good question.
Sometimes they have to try to find something.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
justify their
they'll say, "Boy,
existence."
this is
Yeah.
great.
I fully
Yeah.
expect we'll get a ton of comments, whether they're actually like, change this or else your plan won't meet, because the LRB ultimately will get the plan after we all adopt in April, and they have 15 days to be like, yep or no.
So what happens if it's a no?
So now we have 18 months to correct the plan.
18 months?
Yeah, and the question is, like, I still don't have a good firm understanding of what does that mean for Act 250 in the interim. Is it a duly adopted plan without the LRB approval, or is it not? And I really want to dive into this a little bit more as to say, like, do all our Act 250 benefits, like Rutland cities,
Yeah.
if you get tier 1A, go away if our plan is not accepted? Because that would be,
Yeah, that
Really
would be a
bad.
question I would love to have
Yeah.
answered.
yeah, that'd be really bad.
It was all the work we're going through to get
Exactly.
to
Yeah.
get there.
And you're not alone. We have like 7 or 8 towns that are working super hard to get subdivision regs
Yeah.
or downtown
Municipal
designations.
plans, and if we're not
Yeah,
approved, regional plan.
Regional
then
plan, yeah.
right,
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
right. So municipal plans, if they don't get regional approval, are still duly adopted, but they don't have the confirmed
Yeah.
regional approval and planning process, so they get a chance to come back to us.
Oh.
We'll never get to that point, so I'm not worried about it because of this pre-application. And that was their whole deal, was like, if they get a chance to review the plan ahead of time, they'll tell you what is deficient. And when you submit at the end, there's no question. You
Right,
know, that's the whole scheme.
that's the idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I hope that holds true for us. That would be ideal.
Sometimes it's good to be the first one.
I agree. I'm glad
And
we are.
sometimes it's not,
No.
but we found that out.
So
with
who is
CUPs.
this land use, who is
Mhm.
made up, I mean, how many people, and
Yep.
what backgrounds were they, are they appointed?
Appointed by the governor,
Appointed by the governor.
five-member panel.
5 members.
One is a regional planner, Janet, she's the chair. One was a town planner, Alex from Heinsberg.
Uh,
One was a land use lawyer from up north.
Okay,
One was a town administrator or something in Essex, and the other one actually was an Act 250 coordinator.
anybody from down southern part of the state?
Yep, Janet's from Bennington, Manchester.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
she's the southern Vermont folks, and then
Okay.
only one person from Chittenden County, which is Alex in Heinsberg, which is barely Chittenden County, but I think the governor was quite intentional about that.
Yeah, I bet,
So generally, it's all planners and folks in the arena,
right,
so
so they understand.
they understand. Yeah, especially Janet, who's the chair, because she was working for Bennington County Regional Commission before
Yep.
getting appointed,
Yep.
so.
Good, okay.
Yeah, it's a good group. All right,
Very good. So do we need a motion now?
Yeah, that'd be
to,
good. Yeah. So motion to recommend to the
Motion.
full board authorizing the RPC to submit the 2026 regional plan to the land use review board.
So move.
Okay, so there you
Second.
go. There you go. All in favor
Aye.
of that motion?
That's a mouthful
No
right there,
votes.
folks.
That passes. Thank you. So
Yeah.
we'll get that on for next week.
It was what he said.
Yeah, right, 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 right.
Okay. Employee handbook.
Yes, so you all remember at our annual meeting,
Mm.
Barbara Thompson from Sudbury had brought up some issues and we had promised to go talk to her attorney and bring them back. The issues were largely around those separation clauses and sort of being really heavy-handed with how we were talking about basically at-will employment. So we met with our attorney and pretty simple changes, what we're looking at. That's why I didn't send it ahead of time. We very, very simple. So the first change, why is this not showing up? Hold on. I want to show you with track changes because otherwise it feels hard to. So I think the comments from Barbara were legitimate after speaking with our attorney. None of the changes feel like they're necessary, but it feels like she brought them up, had an issue with them. Very easy ways to address them without impacting the bottom line of the employee handbook whatsoever. So weird. Why is that not showing? Try something else.
We need to vote on the handbook at next meeting also, right?
Yes, yeah. Oh, it is here. Sorry, I just hadn't gone far enough. Excuse.
Nope, I saw some.
Okay, there it is.
Red.
Okay, so the first was right here.
Um,
It's required in law to bold this statement. So
Regardless.
the for any reason, remember, was the issue, and that like
basically.
technically, like some reasons are illegal, right? So, because you can't discriminate. However, our attorney always says to us, hey, the law's the law. Your handbook doesn't need to just regurgitate what the law states.
Mhm.
However, yes, she's right in that, like, we can't terminate somebody for any reason.
Mhm.
There's gotta be, it can be with or without cause or notice, but we can't do it for any reason. So we just struck that language right out of there, so.
Mhm.
And I think Barbara really felt like it was very negative to have this like bam right in your face right at the beginning for employee retention. I can tell you no planner has ever made a comment about this or been like dissuaded. However, simple change, right? So there's that change first. Sorry. Once I don't want to have to cycle through this whole plan and make you guys blind.
Good thing we're speed readers. I think we got it all.
Well,
Yeah, I
just
got it
ask
all.
me any question.
You memorized that, right?
Yeah. Oh,
Page 2 and page 33. Okay. So there's literally only two very small changes then. Right to it. Okay, yes, okay. So the other thing, and this was not a Barbara issue. The other Barbara issue that came up was the exempt versus non-exempt employees. Do you remember that? And how we sort of list that all RPC employees are exempt, and this is from overtime. We're all salaried exempt.
Yep.
Yep.
So we went through and did you can do like a test, like there's all this like, if this, then this sort of logic quiz on like whether you are or aren't. We did that today, and we are definitely still under that category. So there's no reason to change any of the language in the handbook. The one thing we did want to add, because we missed it last time, was over this paid parental leave policy that we enacted in June. So we had gone through all the policies in June when we did the update, and we added this language about making it clear when you accrue and don't accrue vacation and sick time on leave. And ultimately, if you guys remember, the decision was if you're on paid leave, you accrue. If you're on unpaid leave, you don't accrue.
Yeah.
So we're just making it consistent with the rest of the policy to say, okay, paid parental leave is paid, so you accrue during that period.
Yeah.
If you're on FMLA unpaid for 12 weeks, you don't, but whenever you're paid. So it would just make it consistent. So those are the only two changes we're
Yep.
proposing. I hate to even bring it to you guys because it's so minimal. We even said
Mhm.
today, like, do we just wait till June? None of this is like needed, but you asked, the board asked us to look into it. We did. That's what we came up with. So,
Yep. I'm fine with that.
any questions, thoughts? I think we would be looking for another motion recommendation for this one as well.
We want a motion to bring the RPC employee handbook to the full board with the changes that we're looking at today.
Is that a motion?
That's, I'm asking for a motion from, I can't make a motion. I
Yeah.
said-
So move.
So, thanks, Bob.
Yes.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
I,
Aye.
Awesome. Easy peasy.
yep.
Done with that? Okay. Do we need to talk about the Board of Commissioners
Yes.
agenda for next week?
Because we have a town plan for review, Wells Town Plan. So I believe Logan and Sean have done the review. Logan will be on vacation next week, so Sean, our new town planner, will be providing the support to you guys. So we will have a community committee meeting, and we will have a regional committee meeting. As of right now, I have no section 248 applications, and I haven't even looked for Act 250 yet.
Is
So
Wells town plan on the website so we can see it, or?
It will be.
It will
We'll
be.
send you the link and
Okay.
get it up there, for when we send out the board materials tomorrow.
I don't even know who's on our committee anymore. They come and go and, yeah.
Right.
Exactly. I'm not sure
Um,
either.
Yeah,
Andrea?
I'm on their committee.
Oh, that's
Oh,
right.
good.
Yeah, you're on there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we have one.
We have a new review form, but
Redevelopment of an auto dealership property. Oh, looks like Subaru
yeah, they want to move down to.
moved out
Yeah,
Squire
they're 3
Road in
quarters moved
Clarendon.
already.
Are
Yeah,
they?
they need
Yeah,
they need
a
a room.
bunch of
That's
clo- a
tight
bunch of-
little spot there.
Bunch
Is
of
Henry-
vehicles down
Is
there.
Henry working there now?
Henry's working.
He
there,
is,
yeah.
okay, I thought I
Yeah.
saw that.
Yeah.
So there's one for us to review, so could be a short meeting. But the Wellstown plan was actually adopted by their select board like several months ago, and we had a lot of back and forth because the warnings weren't done to the standard that we would like to see. But after some back and forth with the state on like, I felt like, hey, we are not the town plan policeman. We review the town plan based on, does it meet statute? Not what the town did leading up to that. It's not our responsibility. So I dove into the statute and I could not find anywhere definitively that says we cannot approve a town plan if the process wasn't done perfectly for adoption. I looked into clerk certificates, I got deep on it, and ultimately I feel like, okay, the town is verifying when they submit to us that they completed it. Now, in my discussions with sort of like some legal interpretations is that the town may be subject to liability if somebody said, hey, you did not do this right, your town plan is null and void. That could potentially happen, but they would have the benefit of proof of saying you didn't do it this way. So for us, I feel like let's review the plan. It meets according to the pre-review, so I just really get finicky whenever like RPCs are meant to be like some sort of watchdog. That's not our role. We're here to support and help, not to like enforce anything. That's not what we do. So although it's late, technically we're supposed to review and approve these within 60 days. I feel like we have a pretty good excuse to say we didn't because this. So that's what we have planned for this month in September. Any thoughts, questions, feelings? All good?
Sounds good.
So I keep putting this FY26 strategic planning on here as a parking lot item.
Okay.
I do want us to, we're pretty far out before we're doing the strategic planning retreat and plan, so I'm just gonna keep it on here and I'll start bringing pieces one at a time for us to discuss of like, okay, because I'm doing this with the staff at our team meetings too, and I would like both the staff and the executive committee to sort of like co-develop, okay, here's the scope for what we're gonna do, and here's who's gonna be involved. So I don't think we have to do anything with it tonight. We're already almost at time, so.
I was just cleaning out my files and I found our old one.
The 2013, yeah, it's not bad. It's really not bad. But it really is way out of date. Did you feel the same way?
Yeah, it's, when you go through it, I think you follow it for a year or so, and then all of a sudden
It's not,
nobody follows the plan after so many years.
Right.
It's just,
and it's meant to be 5 at
Yeah,
best. So, we're now 12 years past that one, so it's time. Yeah. Cool.
Anything else?
I don't have anything else. Things are moving right along right now.
I'm all set.
Think we can adjourn.
All right, very good.
6:21.
At 6:21.
Bye, Drea. We'll see you next week.
Yes, I'll be in person next week.
Sounds good.
Okay,
All right. Bye.
bye.
Have a good night.